What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. And today we are back talking about the postseason roster. And today we're focusing on position players. As always, I'm joined by my man, Mr. Clint Pazias. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at RealFRG. What up, Clint?
Postseason baseball is here. A couple days away. Let's get into it, DMac.
Postseason baseball, there's nothing better. October baseball, let's do this. So we're going to talk about the roster crunch for the position players. It's not as complicated, it's not as nuanced as the bullpen or some of the pitchers that we just talked about, but there are some debates that could be had. But let's start, as always, as we do, with the locks. Of course, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Justin Turner, Trace Thompson, I think, is absolutely a lock at this point, no question about it. Cody Bellinger, Gavin Lux,
Austin Barnes.
Then you talk about the bench. You got Austin Barnes, like I was about to say just now. Then you got Joey Gallo, Chris Taylor, and then the debate really is between Miguel Vargas or Hanser Alberto. So first, let's talk about Chris Taylor, though. So Chris Taylor, of course, last year we had Ock Taylor. He was the Dodgers' most productive postseason player. He did so many things for this team, but this year he's dealt with injuries. After signing that 4-year, $60 million contract, it's been a disappointment. The strikeout rate is sky high. We call him swing and miss Chris Kaler, and he's dealt with that neck injury. So he experienced that neck pain. He felt something, a little tweak during batting practice last week, and he got the cortisone shot. But what are your thoughts on where they're at with Chris Taylor right now?
By all accounts, from what we're hearing from him, what we're hearing from Dave, they're in a lot better position than they were even earlier in the final week of the season. That doesn't mean his bat is good, or all of a sudden he was putting better lumber on the ball in the his final few games before he ended up getting having to be held out of the lineup. I think he's going to be on the roster. I think it's going to be a non-issue, and I feel at this point, just because there is going to be some concern, it may have knocked him out of the starting lineup, though. That's kind of where I think it's at. I think he hasn't been able to take advantage of a nice hot run, and that opened the door, hopefully, in my opinion, opened the door for Trace Thompson.
Yeah, I think Chris Taylor is a guy that, if he's right, of course, the Dodgers, they trust him. Doc trusts him as one of his guys, and a lot has been made about his struggles late. And yes, a 608 OPS, hitting 212 in September. The strikeout rate is through the roof, but last season he was hitting 187 over the last 2 months. He was 8 for 72 and didn't even start in the wild card game before hitting the home run off of Reyes. So he's a guy that, it's just a different animal. He knows how to perform and get you a big hit, but the injuries are concerning, because that, I think, is one of the reasons why he did struggle this season. He had that off-season elbow surgery to clean some stuff up. He was banged up throughout the year, and you just don't want to see one of your big postseason contributors, a guy that you can count on, be banged up. But hopefully he's going to make an impact on this team, and hopefully he feels right, because he's saying the right things, and I don't think it's going to be a big issue. But
we know he's a gamer too. That's the thing. I think that's the thing that Dave's going to love the most about CT. What's pretty much always going to guarantee Chris Taylor gets a roster spot with these Dodgers. He's a gamer. He's one of Dave's guys. Been there, done that. He's done just about everything for this team, and he's done it also in the postseason, like you're saying. You know, the numbers have been there. Ock Taylor is a real thing. We don't have Jocktober anymore, so we've got Ock Taylor.
Yeah, and then the great thing too is you got a Trace Thompson. So I don't want to see him taking at-bats away from Trace Thompson, and I think that there will be a shorter leash if he does struggle early on, but they're in a good spot regardless. I don't think that it's this postseason, this World Series championship is going to come down to whether or not Chris Taylor struggles in the postseason, but he does do a lot of things for them, especially when he is the Chris Army knife. You can use him in the infield. You can move him around in the outfield, but his spot, of course, he's almost like a Blake Trinan, a Dustin May. If he's healthy, of course, he's going to be on the roster. There's no question about it. But next, I want to talk about Joey Gallo. So Joey Gallo, like we talked about on the Monday show, I looked right at that camera. I said, hey, guys, this narrative is false. He isn't fixed with the Dodgers. The strikeouts are sky high. He continues to struggle at the plate. I mean, 57 strikeouts in 117 at-bats with LA, slashing 162, 277, 393. Yes, he has the power to run into one. one. Yes, we know what he's able to do when he makes contact, but where do you think Joey Gallo is right now? Do you have a lot of confidence in him, maybe coming in late, getting a big hit? How do you see them using Joey Gallo?
I think I'm worried they're going to use him as the starter in left against right-handed pitching. I don't know that he's earned that. In fact, I would argue he has unearned that in his time. The first week and a half in Dodger Blue was great. Like everything, it proved once again, always put your faith in Andrew Friedman. And yes, he still has an opportunity. Gallo still has an opportunity to make a difference somehow in some way in October. You just want to contribute, any way you can. You want to contribute to helping the ball club win a ball game, whether it's on defense, whether it's on offense, and, as multi-time Gold Glove Award winner. But I would say that's my fear. My fear is he somehow is the starting left fielder against right-handed pitching, which goes against the strengths we've seen from Trace Thompson this year. And in that situation, I'd rather have a banged-up Chris Taylor just because he's been there, and then, you have somebody who more likely is going to swing and miss in a pinch hitting role off the bench. But if you need a bopper late in any situation, you could throw Gallo in off the bench. But, we hoped that him coming to LA would be a change of scenery and fix him. I guess that's now the next hope. Changing calendar, wiping the slate clean of all of his stats here in the postseason. I guess that's the next hope. You hope that does something for his mental, for his psyche, and not seeing I guess he's going to see 0-0-0 on the board, but it's better than seeing like a 490 OPS or whatever. The slugging is there, but still, you get the idea.
So over under 2 home runs for Joey Gallo in the postseason.
Take the over.
Take the over on that?
I take the over. Producer Cody says over as well.
I'm taking the under. I mean, he struck out. I think he has 1 home run. I think he'll get 1 home run for the Dodgers.
Do the over-under on strikeouts
in the postseason.
Set
I think
at 12.
His issues making contact are very frustrating. You saw last week he left 8 runners on base, struck out with the bases loaded on 2 different occasions. I mean, sometimes you wonder, is Julio Urias a better option off the bench with a bat? Because
really good hitter.
He's a really good hitter. Look at his career numbers.
It's a good call.
I want Joey Gallo to have success. I definitely think he's capable of running into one and having an impact home run. But I think that the only thing I'm concerned about is that he's not taking at bats away from a potentially healthy Chris Taylor or a healthy Trace Thompson, because he hasn't earned it. Yes, defensively, we know he's a multi-time Gold Glove Award winner, and he is going to provide better depth than we saw last season. Stuff PTSD from the Souza Juniors and those types. Andy Burns. I don't want to see that ever again. How about Billy McKinney? So the reality is they're better depth-wise with Joey Gallo. And, hey, I would love to be proved wrong. I hope that he goes crazy and loses his mind and it's like 10 dingers. Goes Corey Seager. But
hell yeah. Go out there. Earn that next contract.
Yeah.
You can do it right now.
Joey, right? So, yeah, Joey Gallo, he's not going to have a massive role. And, look, maybe late in the game there's a matchup that they like. You see a switch and you go with the Joey Gallo in that situation where you need some power off the bench. He's definitely an interesting option, but you just would wish that he was having more success heading into the postseason, not just really continuing to struggle. So next we're going to talk about Joey's best friend, and that is Hanser Alberto. Hanser the answer.
Yeah.
And you look at the end of this roster, of course, Chris Taylor, lock. Joey Gallo, it's not really a debate because Doc's already said he's going to be on. And then you have Austin Barnes, of course, Now, it really comes down to Hanser Alberto or Miguel Vargas. What are your thoughts on that last roster spot and who it could go to?
There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer, but there's one lesser of two evil. And I don't know if it's a lesser of two. It's not an incorrect answer. It's going to be Hanser because he means a lot to this clubhouse. He means a lot to the ball club. And sure, if he's not on the active roster, he's still going to be in the dugout. He's still going to be on the bench. He's still going to be around rooting for these dudes. But he's not your best option at the plate. He's not your best option at the back end of a bullpen. But at least he does provide that a little bit. But it's going to be him. I think there's such a small track record with Miguel Vargas, and he didn't do enough to show out. He had a nice little stretch where he was running into a couple against some bad pitching. But it's not time to. I'm not gonna call it wasting a roster spot, but I don't think it's best utilizing a roster spot in a rookie that didn't prove himself well enough. Like in 19, Luxy, at least he had, it wasn't a great September, but at least he hit like 250. He had a couple of bomb skis. Like there was some production there. Miguel, it hasn't been there. At least, Hanser can kind of get bat to ball, and maybe he's one of those guys too. Same in the same spirit of Gallo, where if the slate wipes clean and all of a sudden those, you go 1 for 1, you see 1,000 on the board, or you're, whatever, 2 for 4, you see 500 on the board, you're feeling good, you're feeling frisky, you're feeling crispy. And, it makes a difference in the mental side of the game to get out there and, not see a 217 batting average and whatever the hell it may be. But what are you thinking for that? I guess essentially it is the final roster spot.
Yeah,
position player wise.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to one of those two guys. Yes, they did make that interesting move with Amaya, and then is there a possibility that Kevin Pillar gets a shot? I think that comes down to injuries, of course. If there's any injury issues, maybe you go that route. A lot of people asking me in the DMs on Twitter, like, oh, what about James Outman? Look, James Outman strikes out a little too much at this point. I think it's going to come down to Hanser or Miguel Vargas, and I think the decision really has been made. It's going to be Hanser Alberto, and I'll tell you why. One, you're not going to see that many meaningful at-bats from any of these guys coming off the bench. When you look at how they've used the DH spot this season, it's been minimal. And then Hanser Alberto, what he does provide is he gives you that defensive versatility. He can play those middle infield spots. Miguel Vargas, we've seen him at third, we've seen him at first. We also seen him looking a little raw, a little green in the outfield, despite the tutelage of Mookie Betts. Wasn't able to fix him in the outfield. And I do think that when you talk about their ceiling, I love Miguel Vargas' bat to ball. I love the fact that he can go up there and possibly get you an extra base hit. We've seen the potential there. And when you look at his numbers in AAA, those strikeout numbers, they're very low. Had a strikeout rate just above 14%. In the show, for a while, that was what I liked most about Miggy, was that, yeah, he wasn't producing, but you didn't see too many strikeouts. Now that number up to 26%, had a 3 strikeout game over the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, Miguel Vargas, not quite there yet. It's going to be Hanser Alberto. Like I said, he's like the DJ Khaled of the Dodgers. He's like their hype man. You're like, what does he actually do? I've been calling him the highest paid mascot in Major League Baseball. But what he does provide is he keeps the clubhouse loose. He's been an integral part of the team chemistry this year. Anytime Mookie Betts says that you're the catalyst of the group, that's big time. So I think Hanser is a guy that when we made the signing, we talked about what do we like. Yes, he's not going to hit for power. You're not going to get the slug, but you will get that bat to ball. And that's what the Dodgers lacked in the NLCS when they just couldn't put the ball in play. So ideally, he's a guy that will put the ball in play if he's given an opportunity. If there's any injuries, even during a game, you can plug him into some of those infield spots. So to me, it's clear Hanser is the answer for that last roster spot. But yeah, I mean, look at this roster. They're stacked. I feel good about it up and down. I love the fact that, we talked about this, how they were able to have that get right game before the break. Because can you imagine Dodger Twitter if they entered the postseason on a 4-game losing streak? So what are your thoughts on just the offense? Freddie Freeman was over his last 12 before having a good game. Trey Turner goes deep. Do you think that's meaningful, the fact that they were able to get some big hits before the end of the season?
I mean, I think they haven't played for anything meaningful since, clinching home field advantage through the postseason. Everybody was dragging. Of course they're dragging. They were just, we want to get to where it matters again. I think this team, it's a group of veterans. It's a group of people that have succeeded at the highest level in this game. We're talking MVPs. We're talking All-Stars. We're talking World Series champions. They know when to switch it on. Sure, they didn't officially switch it off, but mentally they weren't all there. Still, nobody likes to fail, and I think that game, win 111 meant a lot to this club, to the psyche, to feeling good coming into this slate of simulated games at Dodger Stadium, where we're seeing some interesting faces and all that kind of stuff to kind of shift a little bit there, because I wanted to get your opinion. If you think any of the guys that have been kind of called up to Dodger Stadium for these sim games, you think anybody can sneak their way into the picture, because you do have Kevin Pillar, you have James Outman is up, the ghost of Edwin Rios has reemerged. Do you think any of let's focus on those three for a second? Do you think there's any chance they go off script and possibly throw one of those guys on the roster?
It's possible. It definitely is possible. I think it's unlikely, but when you add a Kevin Pillar, a guy that plays the outfield, but really is nothing to write home about at the plate. So offensively, is he going to change the game? No, he's not. James Outman is a very intriguing idea because you consider the success he had with the Dodgers. He set the world on fire. James, you couldn't get him out, man, and he dominated in AAA when he was sent back down. But last year, the Dodgers struggled at the plate, striking out in big situations. Anytime they went to the bench, they had issues just making contact and putting the ball in play. And Outman, he struck out quite a bit. Edwin Rios, to me, is very interesting because not a lot of people are talking about him. They're just not talking about Edwin Rios, and he led the Dodgers in home runs when he went down. We know he can provide that thump from the left side, but then you also have Joey Gallo. Yes, one plays infield, one plays outfield. So if they're looking for that boomer bust thunder from the left side,
plays infield. There's an asterisk there.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, they all leave more to be desired. That's why I think that Hanser Alberto is the guy they're ultimately going to go with, because they know that their success or failure is going to come from the top of the lineup, the meat of the lineup, and they don't. An impact bat's not going to move the needle. It's more of a break in case of emergency from some of these defensive spots. So I know it's fun to think about, maybe the idea of throwing a curveball in, having a guy that opposing teams haven't seen as much late in the year when they scout this Dodgers team. But I still think at the end of the day, it will be Hanser Alberto. But question I want to ask you, well, let me ask you that same question. Do you think out of those three, anyone will get any strong consideration for the postseason roster?
The only name, I mean, for some reason, they've been really high on Kevin Pillar.
Yeah.
All through his injury and all that. I mean, credit to the dude for putting in that work to get back from a pretty catastrophic shoulder injury. The only guy I could see somehow sneaking his way on is, the Dodgers admitting defeat. It didn't work with Gallo. You punt on Gallo and you put Eddie back on, because Edwin Rios can at least, we know he can run into major league pitching. He's going to come up with something straight up to prove if somehow he makes the postseason roster. He's got a lot to prove to himself, to his next ball club, because dude is going to be a trade candidate this offseason. Sure. That's really my only guy. And he's not going to get many options. He will be exclusively a pinch hit type. He's not going to DH just purely based on the way Dave puts together his lineups. But if Chris Taylor is healthy and can play anywhere, and if you feel confident about Gavin Lux's neck and his capabilities right now, and if you're smart about it and Trace Thompson is your starting left fielder, you're kind of looking at Gallo as sort of an odd man out, especially considering 40+% strikeout rate. Not to say that Eddie's bat to ball is much better, but the homer to at bat ratio, I feel, is better at this point in time with his mental, with his psyche, and it could be a feel good story of like eventually they righted a wrong, they brought him back. Like you said, he was leading the team in slug at the time he went down. That's the only guy I can see. Will it happen? Very, very low likelihood. But that's the only thing I could see that makes any semblance of sense. Like, you punted on Joey Gallo. He's a good dude. He plays the games hard, but at some point, you have to get production. It's not just about playing hard.
Yeah. I think Edwin Rios is an interesting idea. I think the fact that Gallo does have 7 home runs with the Dodgers, they did bring him in for that reason. I don't see them pulling the plug on the Joey Gallo experiment this late in the game. But Edwin Rios is a guy that he had a big home run against the Braves in the NLCS in 2020. He has had some postseason success with this Dodgers organization. The Pilar one's a big head scratcher. I mean, this year with the Dodgers, he was pretty terrible at the plate. For his career, he's hitting just over 200 in the postseason. So it's not like he has this career where he has all these big postseason moments. And yeah, he does play in the outfield where he kind of unnecessarily dives to make big highlight plays sometimes. So yeah, going for the web gems.
You know he does it in his head, right?
Oh, absolutely. But next question I want to ask you, and we'll wrap it up on this, is which Dodgers position player needs to step up the most in the postseason?
You know, I love going fringe guys. I always love going fringe guys, and I think a lot of this lineup, I mean, we know what's expected out of 1 through 3, 1 through 4, 1 through 6, to be honest. And an easy and it feels somewhat lazy answer would be Trey Turner. To me, it's Gavin Lux. Like, he means a lot. He meant so much to this team as a bottom of the lineup catalyst. He was driving in runs late in the lineup. If you're able to get run production out of your 8 and 9 spot consistent, I mean, that is debilitating to another team. So I like looking at that as a way of you're stomping on the opponent in a way if Luxie's able to go up there and you know, drop a 2-run double or something like that. So Lux is going to be my guy. I got faith in him as long as he's feeling frisky, feeling good, feeling like that neck is in a better spot than it was early in September. I can't not go with my boy, the killer from Kenosha.
I like that. The killer from Kenosha. Yeah, I think that's a great pick. Gavin Lux is a guy who I don't think gets enough credit for earlier in the season when the bottom of the Dodgers lineup was just caca, was poo-poo, was not producing at all. He was the one guy that was turning the lineup around.
Well analyzed.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was the guy who picked it up. Yeah. He picked it up when the meat of the lineup, when the bottom of the order wasn't getting it done. So, yeah, if you look at the 2021 postseason, a lot of people forget this, but in Game 5 of the NLDS, he gets the big base hit to pass the baton, to give Belly a chance to get that base hit, and the Dodgers ultimately won that game. So I definitely think that he's a guy that could step up. Let's not forget, too, that in 2019 became the youngest Dodger to hit a home run in a postseason game. So it has been building for him. He has proven that he can have postseason success. But to me, it has to be Cody Bellinger. I'm going with Cody Bellinger. I'm going to die on the Cody Bellinger hill. I really will. At his lowest point, I stuck with Belly. I'm a Belly-ever till I DIE. And if you look at his numbers of late in his last 7 games, 9 for 24, hitting 375. He's 13 for 40, hitting 325 in his last 30, 20 for 72 in his last 23 with 2 bombs and 5 doubles and 13 RBI. So it's October. Leaves are dying, but Cody Bellinger's coming alive. Belly, I'm telling you, he's going to make a big play, get a big hit. He's locked in. Some guys can't handle the postseason. He's not one of those guys. He steps up. He flips that switch. I think you're seeing better bat to ball, better control with the barrel at the plate, the approach starting sooner. So I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to silence a lot of his haters. And I think that, yeah, he's going to step up. And I think he will. And I think he needs to, because I don't want to complicate the center field situation. I want them to rely on him to get it done out in center field. But those are I go with Cody Bellinger, Clint's going with Lux. But let us know down below in the comment section which Dodger position player needs to step up the most in the postseason. Because look, he has a great postseason, Bellinger. We forget about his bad regular season.
He's playing for a contract, really. He's playing for a contract to be tendered in the offseason because, hey, Aaron Judge is a free agent. I'm just saying. That's getting ahead of ourselves. So there's one guy who I agree, and I feel deep down the pits of my souls and deep down in my cockles, in the subcockle region, that can turn it on when the calendar turns. It is the bopper, man. Cody, it's a good pick. Also, never sleep on this guy. Go and give me a solo shot right there. That never sleep on the captain, Austin Barnes. He's coming up. He's coming up with a big time.
Blake Snell's father, guys. Blake Snell's father.
Yeah, that's Snell's daddy right there.
Yeah, the Austin Barnes, he's going to be big too. So, yeah, let us know down below in the comments.
Game 2 starting catcher right there.
There it is, man. AB, man. He's a guy. Best backup catcher in the league. No question about it. But yeah, that's who we got for our postseason position player roster. Hanser versus Vargas. You got Joey Gallo. Lots to talk about, but not going to be a big debate. I mean, we'll see what happens this weekend, but I think it's pretty much well set. This team, best roster in the postseason, in my opinion. We look at the offense; these guys are ready to get it going. But let us know down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all latest Dodgers news, rumors, high videos, breakdowns, and more, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button.
And make sure you're tuned in all postseason long. Pre-games, post-game, tell your mom, tell your grandma, tell everybody. Tune in, DodgersNation.com and Dodgers Nation TV, all that kind of stuff.
Tune in, guys. We'll be rocking with you all postseason long. This is Clint Pasillas. You can follow him at RealFRG. Go give him a follow. My name, of course, Doug McCain. And yeah, let us know down below. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and we out.